And welcome, ladies and gentlemen, live between the slicks right here on the Monday Morning Racer platforms. Also, we want to welcome the CompetitionPlus.com Facebook audience as well as the Drag Racing Connection audience. I am Lee Craft, the traveling Lee Craft, as usual, it seems, and in studio at a random McDonald's in Kentucky at a Love's travel stop. Hey, but Love's, thank you for the 10 cents off per gallon with the app. I greatly appreciate that. Thank you. And it's an interesting setup because I feel like I've got a in studio audience that's not just digitally out there watching as I'm here, but actually here and intercoms and all of that. It's what you got to do when you're live and on the road, trying to make content and do this thing out here in the media world covering motorsports, or at least I think, my way in which I roll with it. Well, on the show tonight, she's already in the green room. We'll get to her in just a few moments. We're going to have Maddie Gordon on the show. She picked up her first ever NHRA win at a regional event, Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Cletus and Cars event that they were joining in on, and we're going to talk to her about that and beyond so far in her budding career in NHRA Top Alcohol Funny Car here on Between the Slicks. I do want to remind you that this is brought to you by McKinney Corp, and it is fascinating to me every time I go to Murph's house, if you will, the shop there in Lafayette, Indiana, what I encounter. So, as usually, you're going to encounter race car things, as in right now, for example, Lex June, his Top Fuel dragster is in the shop, and no, he's not working on a better forced induction to the fuel tank for venting purposes, but he had an old high body car. Well, that is no longer in vogue with Top Fuel dragsters, and the bodies sit lower. So, in front halving his car, also widening the front hoop on the roll cage, and many other updates to his old hot rod that he competes with in NHRA Mission Foods Top Fuel. The body panels at the top there are being trimmed to fit a new lower profile stance, if you will. What's fascinating, you're looking at a well over 1 3/4 inches trimmed off these panels to get them to line up right. And I don't have a photo of the finished product, but it was looking sharp when I left earlier today from Lafayette, Indiana, there at McKinney Corp. And interesting note, the panels are not carbon fiber. Yes, they're magnesium. Magnesium at one time was very popular because it was a lightweight yet bendable and durable metal that you could make into panels. And Lex June is still rocking the magnesium over the carbon fiber. Fascinating. But not only do you have race car things at McKinney Corp, I still don't know what this is. Matter of fact, nobody at McKinney Corp really knows what this is. It's just called the reactor. Purdue University, which is in Lafayette as well, needed this welded up, and it's going in a basement, and deadly poisonous gas will run through it. So it needed to be leak tested and tested to make sure it could withstand under pressure. And when they needed an entity, a company, to weld up something that was going to hold deadly gas, they decided to call on the people who build Top Fuel dragsters and funny cars. And, well, we put together this reactor. Kind of got some Fallout vibes. That's trending right now for sure. And this type of work happens each and every day at McKinney Corp. So if you are looking for anything, and I do mean nearly anything fabricated, reach out to Murph McKinney, McKinney Corp, and see how they can craft a solution with all their winning experience from the motorsports world into the industrial sector. We're going to dive into a video that was done from Zmax highlighting Miss Gordon, and after the video, we'll chat with her live right here on Between the Slicks as we segue. Hit the like button, hit the share button, and chime in the comment section. Thank you all for watching.
5:48.7 for 5:45.8. Madison Gordon.
One of the big red cars in Top Alcohol Funny Car, and up-and-coming driver, Maddie Gordon. Maddie, we doing well out here so far with you starting out in competition in 2024. What's been the biggest adjustment? We all know you can drive, but what have you had to learn on the job?
Everything. It's just getting used to the speed is a huge part of it. Everything just comes so much faster. The shift light's super fast. Going through the finish line just really fast. And it's just an animal. So just trying to get used to the speed and the horsepower that I'm sitting right behind. It's been a big adjustment, but I'm having so much fun.
All right, Maddie, here at Zmax Dragway, you all are out here on the East Coast from Northern California. Why the trip to Zmax early on in the season?
The facility is beautiful, but the way it worked out with the schedule, we're going to hit Indy Regional next weekend and hit a couple more East Coast races, but we just love it here. We have so much fun. This is actually the only race my dad ever raced at that he never won. So this is the only track he's never run at, so hopefully we can get it done, but we'll see how it goes.
And it went okay at Zmax for you all and your team. Now, you're not the first show that this is not the first show that you've been on. You've been having the media whirlwind tour for a first win, and so great that someone in Top Alcohol Funny Car is getting the exposure. I know you've been on Nikki's show, Women Take the Wheel, and you were on Joe Costello's WFO radio earlier today, and now here on Between the Slicks. So I definitely have a challenge of asking you some questions that haven't really been thrown your way, and I like that challenge. We'll take it. But yeah, Zmax, you mentioned on Joe's show that you later on in eliminations, I was able to have that interview with you on Saturday, that you definitely had a learning curve, a curveball thrown at you in eliminations of having to actually pedal the car in competition for the first time and take a whack at it.
No, definitely. It was before that round, I had never pedaled the car. It carried the front end, and the car was really aggressive all weekend long. And we, of course, knew we were against the best, so we really had to push it and be as aggressive as possible. And unfortunately, the front end went high in a long time, which is great, except for it went to the wall. And I drove it as long as I could until I finally had to get out of it. And I tried kind of to let off a little bit and let it calm down, but the front end didn't come down, so I had to let off all the way. And then I got it straightened back out, or close straightened out, hit the gas, and I was like, oh, it's not straight enough, get out of it again. Then I hit the gas again when it was straight. And by that time, I was so far down the racetrack that it was already time to shift it as soon as I hit the gas again. So by the time I hit the gas and realized that the big yellow light in front of my face meant shift, by the time my brain comprehended that, it was already too late. And I as soon as I hit the shift button, it basically blew up, and it was super unfortunate. I was really down with myself, making that mistake. But I definitely learned from it, no doubt about it. Wish it didn't have to happen like that, but I'll learn from it, and hopefully I can be better because of it.
And already so. You go out to Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, you pick up the win there in regional action, so you've learned, you've had that moment, and you being able to have the platform to even share, I think, is enlightening, because even though you all are superstars behind the wheels of some bad, fast hot rods, you're human, and you're going to go through progression. You're going to have mistakes, and things are going to happen in race cars. Your dad 2 years ago had a gnarly ride, yet was able to come back from it, and win the championship. So, it's all part of the maturation, and you're definitely getting up to speed, and that learning curve, you're going through it very quickly. So good for you on that. Now, I'm curious. I know, we're not even a quarter really into the season, but how do you look at drag racing differently now since you've been driving? You've been on the crew side for years, working on that car with mom and dad and sister and grandpa and grandma. But now you're looking at it through the visor. How are these tracks and how is the experience different for you going to places that yet you're so familiar with, but you're doing it in a completely different way?
Yeah, I mean it makes everything a lot different. It's a lot of little things that like maybe people don't think about, but like when I was crewing on the car, and this is kind of a weird thing, but when I was crewing on the car, it didn't matter when I ate lunch. I just ate lunch and I was hungry. But, like when you're driving, and I always listen to my dad too, when you're driving, you don't want to like eat lunch right before you go run your first round. So like, I'm kind of like, oh, like, when do I eat lunch? But that's a little thing. But, it's, it is so much different. And, just getting to, put the fire suit on and, sit in the car and just roll up to the water box and, just know that I get to drive the race car is just such a dream. And it's, something I've literally dreamed of my whole entire life. And ever since I was a little girl. But it's awesome, and I'm learning so much. I have so much to learn. But I'm just having a blast.
That's exactly what I mean. That experience and how different it is. You didn't think of that in the past, and yet now that's something you have to think about. Now, imagine as a driver, especially in a funny car, because you're always under that body. Even when it's up, you're under, and you can't see everything. I imagine you feel almost separated from everything compared to what you were as a crew member out in the open air.
Yeah, no, totally. Me personally, I love my time in the race car. I love to get in. I don't want to get in too early, but I like to get in decently early and just sit there, and I like to think. I just like to sit and think by myself. But it is kind of weird. You're all by yourself in there, and, the body's, like right here, so really not that many people can see you. But I have a radio, and I can radio to Dad if I need anything. But like before the final in Indy, it was hot. And they were like, they kept doing burnouts. So we were sitting like the burnout competition or whatever. So we were sitting in the cars for a while, and I'm like, hello, can anybody get me a fan? But nobody could hear me for a while. But it isn't really cool. It's really cool sitting in there. It's just like you're in your own little world. And you just get to. I just like to think about the race and what I'm gonna do, and yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. I have to. So, I know from working on the starting line with, Doug Foley, Buddy Hull, and others, the four wides are very chaotic as a crew member, and the orchestra of how the cars get lined up and tow vehicles being put back and everything that's happening. For you as a driver, I know everybody asks about staging, but does it feel as chaotic at the shutdown area making a left or right hand turn in that instance compared to the starting line when you were a crew member?
Yeah, I mean, like, the staging can definitely be confusing if you don't like remind yourself of what lane you're in. But as far as the shutdown area, I don't find it to be all too I didn't personally find it to be a lot confusing because they got all the directors down there telling you where to go, and especially because like in the funny car or any of the alcohol cars, like you don't, you're just kind of a sitting duck because you're sitting down there, you got nowhere to go unless the guy pushes you on the quad. So for me personally, it wasn't too chaotic down there because they were either telling me where to go or pushing me on the quad, so I knew it's my turn to go. But in the staging part of it, I think I did decently well, except for one round. It was first round in Vegas, and it was only two. There was only two cars, but I was in lane 2, and the other guy was in lane 1, and I forgot that. For some reason I thought that the outside bulb was gonna come on because I was in the lane 2, but I don't know why I thought that. So I'm rolling in, and into my peripheral vision I see the lane 2 bulb come on, and I'm like, oh no, that's mine! Like, oh no, this is not good. But it all ended up being okay. But it was kind of a close call on that one.
Four wide racing in itself, from what I can recall, you got two under your belt now, Las Vegas and the Zmax. So your thoughts on it as a competitor behind the wheel?
I think it's really fun. I think it's fun to do a couple times a year. I don't think I wouldn't want to do it, every weekend, but I think it's a fun new challenge a couple times, a year. It's definitely harder in my opinion, it's harder to cut a light because you're just focusing on so many things, especially being in the out car class where you got rev up cars and two-step cars and all this kind of stuff. So there's a lot going on, but I do like it every once in a while.
All right. Every once in a while. And I think that is how most level-headed people really feel about it. Nobody wants to, let's make this the whole entire sport. And nobody is, if they're level-headed, they really are saying they got their place, they're cool events, but two is good. And we've got them. Now, curious, would you like to see it fall in a segment of the year championships are on the line and the stakes are that much higher because you are running out of events that you can claim towards your championship chase?
I don't know. I think my first instinct would be no, just because, at that time, everybody's so serious. It's all very serious. So, I mean, I would think no, but I don't know. I'm no expert on it, but I would probably say I would rather have it in the beginning of the year when it's just a little bit more fun and low key towards the end of the year when everything is very serious.
All right, very good. Well, congratulations on the win. I must say that I'm a little disappointed you didn't wait until I was somewhere where I could cover it. No, you can't do that. Go get all your win, but congratulations. And I was just down the road.
I did a bad job planning that one.
I was just down the road in Ohio, and I was keeping track of things. And again, congratulations on the win. And also, I'm like, man, it was also the first time that you and Sean Bellemere lined up side by side, not in a quad, but side by side. And I'll just do it here. My best Dave McClellan impersonation, the battle of the big red cars taking place. So that is very cool. And it does seem like right now in Top Alcohol Funny Car that if you want to compete well, you got to have red on the car somewhere.
It does seem like that. Everybody's red. Everybody's red. It's kind of funny, but no, it was so cool getting around against Sean. I hate, that it kind of went down like that. I felt really bad that, it ended on a red light and stuff. But I mean, just getting to line up next to Sean, and I mean, I just always remember like Sean, Shane Westerfield, those two guys. Like, I can always remember being little and waking up, my mom saying, "Hey, Dad's running." So we'd both run out to the living room and we'd watch on TV and go, "Oh, dang it, he is Sean or he is Shane. Come on, Dad." So it's just so cool to be able to line up next to him and just it's just like a childhood dream. It really is.
Speaking of watching Dad, childhood dreams, family. You work at the family business, making cabinets. You are a salesperson, and again, I'm astounded. I've said it often, but to the whole family, congratulations! 50 years of any business is tremendous, and you all are celebrating it this year. And it's riding on the nose of that Camaro Top Alcohol Funny Car and NHRA competition. But what a significant year. I was just thinking that here you are, it's your first year behind the wheel. Dad has already transitioned and you are in the seat, yet you all are celebrating also legacy in an industry 50 years. I mean, there's so much for you and the family happening right now that is so good. Congratulations. And I know that the family has got to really be ecstatic. And I wonder, have y'all even really just took the time to go like, wow, maybe this is more significant than we really think it is?
I never even thought, I mean, those 50 years is really, really cool. And I obviously haven't been in the business for that long by any means. But it's my papa and my grandma's baby. And, it's what they built literally from a box of nails and a piece of wood. I mean, they went to the hardware store and my papa and my grandma and bought some tools, and that's how they started it. And to have it be built into what it is today is it's just so awesome to watch and be a part of. And but I actually never I never really thought about like the significance of that being the same year as me driving and stuff. I didn't really put that together, but it is a huge honor to be, just a part of it, and let alone working at the cabinet shop. And it's a huge accomplishment, and it's really cool because my grandparents and my dad and my uncle and everybody, they're all really, really happy about it and excited.
All right, let's dive into this race and talk about this win. Cletus and Cars, the event. And if you remember, I told you, take some extra T-shirts, work the crowd, because it's going to be a large event. What did you think of the event itself? Now, I know you're busy, car and working on it, driving, all those things, but what you were able to gather, what did you think of Cletus and Cars and it having you all a part of it as NHRA drag racers?
It was really cool. I mean, it was definitely different, like being the only drags, like cars went on the drag strip. I know they had some testing soon and stuff, but being the only cars in competition was interesting. It was very different, but it was really cool. And just the whole event was amazing. I mean, they had so many people, so many fans, and so many just like random cars. They had like cars that looked like it was upside down, but it wasn't. And they had like a fishbowl car and like a boat that like drives. And it was crazy. It really was crazy. They had cars everywhere, people everywhere, booths, stands. And then they had the burnout box, which was really crazy. They did burnouts for like hours. But we really, really enjoyed watching the, I think they call it the Indy 800, like the circle track racing stuff. We didn't get to watch the crown or the van race. We were putting the car back together. We didn't get to watch that race, but we did all watch the circle track race, and that was really, really cool. Overall, it was a really unique and very fun event.
What did you think? What did you notice about the fan base? Were they engaging with the Top Alcohol Funny Cars and Top Alcohol dragsters, or did they kind of look and like, what's going on here, and not fully understand? What did you take away concerning the fan base as compared to a typical NHRA regional or national event?
I would say for some reason Friday it was like, oh, what is this? Like they were on Friday for some reason, everybody was like super in, like they were all like intrigued in like all the different kinds of cars, not really paying too much attention to the alcohol. But on Saturday, people were coming around a lot more. They were asking questions, and the pit, they had us kind of spread out. So like the pits were a little bit spaced out more than normal. So like people had a chance to kind of walk in a little bit more and see a little bit more of the cars and, stuff like that. And on Saturday, I would say people really were intrigued, and there was a lot of people walking in between, in the road and stuff like that, and, getting hero cards and stuff like that. So it was really cool, and met a lot of really fun and young people, and just people that are really into drag racing, and some that aren't, some that had no idea what an alcohol funny car was, and just got to teach them a little bit about it.
Very cool, very cool. You happen to remember any moment of someone during a warm-up possibly, and you getting up on the throttle and the revs, and they're just like, what's going on?
No, nothing during the warm-up. Nothing during the warm-up. I'm trying to think if, no, nothing too crazy like that. Not for us, at least.
Okay. Well, that's very cool, except for when you were in the car and wanting a fan, and they're doing all those burnouts. That wasn't cool at all. You were burning up in there, and
getting hot.
Getting hot. It is such an interesting event. I'm glad they did it last year. It went well last year. It sounds like it even went a little better this year with a slight tweak to the schedule, because qualifying, you all did something as Top Alcohol Funny Car competitors that, from my knowledge, you're not really used to. It's 3 hits to make the field on one day. It was not spread out.
Yeah, so that was really cool for everybody who got 3 hits. But we had a parts failure in the Q2. So, to start with, Q1 shook, didn't make it down. Q2, we were making it down, going good, and then kicked the rods out at about 1,000 foot. So that was super unfortunate. Obviously ruined that. Motor, had to change motors. But because of the previous race in Charlotte, we carried 3 motors and we were on our last one. So we had to change motors after Q2, and we decided just not even try and make Q3 because we were on our last motor, our last set of heads. There was a lot of lasts going on there. So we decided to skip Q3 and just get the car ready for E1, which really worked out, well for us because, we didn't want to run the car more than we really had to because we really didn't want to hurt another motor. So, but it was really cool that everybody got 3 hits because it was difficult. I mean, it took a little bit to figure out the track and everything like that. So some people struggled in the beginning, but towards the end, everybody got figured out, which was really cool to be able to have all those hits and, everybody get a chance to figure it out.
So you have experience for many years, obviously, NHRA national events and NHRA regional competition. And you have, for those events, 2 different modes. You've got an 8-car field and you got a 16-car field. As a driver now, is there a distinct pressure from, I've got 16 spots compared to, I have 8?
Yeah, no, definitely. And, our car counts in Outlaw Funny Car haven't been too high. They're getting a little better. But before the Cletus and Cars event, I hadn't experienced a race where you were, not going to qualify if you didn't, run good enough. But in the Cletus and Cars, there was 9 cars. So you were, someone was going to be out. And we didn't make it down the track that first run. So we're going up for Q2, and me and Dad are talking. Me, Dad, and Pop, and everybody are talking about, what to do. And he's like, if we may not get in. So, if it shakes, try and get back on it if you're straight and if you feel okay with it. And I'm like, I used to got a little pit in my stomach. I'm like, there's a possibility we may not qualify. We really need to, I need to be on my best game here. But the way it worked out, unfortunately, one of the, Ray Drew had a engine, parts failure. So he, unfortunately was out. So everybody did make it in who was able to race. But, that little gut feeling was like, this could be not good. So it was, nothing more nerve-wracking going into qualifying and, knowing there's a chance you may not qualify.
So your semifinal matchup with Sean Bellamere, we know that outcome. Obviously, you go on to win the race. Your first round matchup, who was that again?
Stan Sipos.
Stan. So look at this. So this dynamic. You jarred my memory because I was like, just so far with you and where you are age-wise and just the passing of time and the storylines. Again, your family, you're in the seat, Dad's out, 50 years though, your first year. Look at the Stan Sipos situation. It's your first year. It's his first year in like 30-something years. And you have, Stan might be the oldest driver right now in Top Alcohol Funny Car going up against you, the youngest driver in Top Alcohol Funny Car, man versus woman, Canadian versus California. I love the storyline. So many storylines in Top Alcohol Funny Car right now.
Yeah, no, for sure. There is so many storylines. But it's really cool. Stan actually raced against my papa when he drove. And Stan was the last person my papa Mike ever raced in a Top Alcohol Funny Car. Stan did beat him, unfortunately, but Stan was the last person that he ever raced. And
you got one back for the family.
Yes, and to my knowledge, Stan Sipos and Brett Williamson are the only ones who have raced against my grandpa, and then I don't know if Stan raced against my dad, but I know for sure Brett raced against my dad. So to my knowledge, those are the only 2 who have raced against my papa Mike, which I think is really cool. But yeah, I mean, it was a great race against Stan too. I mean, dude, he was 015 on the tree. I was 013, and he ran a 49.1 to my 48.7, and we won by like 6,000. And it was like, this should be a supercomp race, not an
That's a,
alcohol funny car race.
that's a good drag race. That is a
Yeah,
good
for
drag
sure.
race. And yes, he was definitely knocking off the cobwebs at the Baby Gators and the Gator Nationals. But it's good to hear that he had that reaction time and that ET, and looks like he's going to be back up to speed, back to old Stan before long in top alcohol funny car competition. So that is good to hear. So I heard you made the final, you getting past Sean Bellemere, and it was up against Chris Foster, and Chris is in a McKinney, so I was pulling for Chris. I'm just going to make it clear, okay? But nonetheless,
Okay, fine.
congratulations, you getting your first win, and it was another good drag race. The Fosters certainly know how to tune a car and get it down the track, and what a good event overall for Top Alcohol Funny Car and being in the spotlight with Cletus and Cars. When did you know that you won? How did it get delivered to you? Was it I saw the lights, radio, or you're being informed at the top end?
I saw the light. I was kind of staring at it, waiting for it to come on. But I was going through the finish line, and just immediately just pulled the chutes and just like looked at the wall, and it was on. And as soon as I looked at the wall and saw it was on, basically Dad had radioed and told me, and it was just, I mean, honestly, I can't even really explain it. It was just such a dream, and after having all those close losses, lost by 7,000, lost by 3,000, lost by 8, 10,000s, having all those super tough, close losses, I think just made this one so much more extra special. It was special no matter what, but just made it extra special. And I mean, I was just freaking out. It's just crazy. I this is kind of weird, but I have seriously laid in bed and just dreamed of like, oh my gosh, like what if one time in my life I get to stand at the finish line and be interviewed by Amanda Busek and be holding a trophy? Like that is just like what if, and to be able to, at the end of the day have that trophy was just absolutely, unreal. It really is.
Well, nothing wrong, obviously, with having that dream. It's a dream for a lot of people, and you're going to live that dream out before long. You're going to be at a national event and win a national event before long, and she's going to be there, and she's going to put that mic in your face, and you just be you as you are, and it's going to be great. Looking forward to when that moment does come for you and the sport. Matter of fact, you've had the show with Nikki, you've had the show with Joe, you've had the show with me right here. I'm sure there might even be some more scheduled. Do you feel that there's already a lot of pressure on you, and in particular for Top Alcohol Funny Car? Because Top Alcohol Funny Car hasn't had someone like you in a while. Not saying that there's not lady drivers in Top Alcohol Funny Car, because there are, but not someone with quite the age and bubbliness combination as you've got.
It's really funny because my papa always calls me a squeaky teenage girl because I have a high pitched voice and I'm always giggling. And no, but I don't know. I don't know that I feel the pressure just yet. I feel like I'm still so new. I'm still so new that I don't really have too many expectations for myself just yet. But I do feel very honored. I mean, just I'm very, very honored. That you asked me to be on your show, and Joe and Nikki, and it's an honor. I'm just I'm in shock. It's just really cool, and I feel I'm really happy and very nice to have all these people want to talk to me. I don't know, but it's really cool, and I do. I don't think I feel the pressure just yet. I feel like once I get better and I have more experience, I'll start feeling the pressure. But at this point, I'm still just learning. And I do want to say, it was really, really awesome to race Chris in the final. His son Hudson and Goatman works on Chris Demke's car. But Hudson and Goatman, they both They designed this super cool shirt. Hudson drew it up and Goatman got it all together, and they surprised me with it in Las Vegas. And it is just so special. It's the first shirt ever where it's like Maddie Gordon, Top Alcohol Funny Car. So it's really special. And I just want to say thank you. I don't know if they're watching or not, but it was really cool and it meant a lot to me.
Very cool. Very cool. It's and you look, you're going to continue to build moments like that over your career, and it's going to continue to grow for you. And speaking of growing, look, I know that this win has got to be the highest of the highs. Oh, yes. Look at
This is the
go,
shirt.
let me
Wait,
go full
where'd it
screen.
go?
Look at that. That's cool.
That's
That
the
is
shirt.
cool.
I'm sorry, I keep getting out of the screen, but yeah.
No. That is cool. I like that. That is very cool. Yeah, I know you've got to be wearing that with pride. So
I love it. It's so cool. It's my favorite.
that is a yes. Wear it. Also frame it. Don't lose that thing.
Yes.
That is very cool. That is very cool. With this being the highest of highs for sure. So far, since starting this, and I'm going to put it not just 2024. Let's go back to 2023 Brainerd. You earn your license, and from there to now, what's been the lowest point? What's the point where Maddie's like most dejected and like, can I really do this, or can I carry on the family legacy?
I'd say for sure Charlotte. After I made that mistake in Charlotte, yeah, I would definitely say it's been Charlotte. I was just really, really upset at myself that I did that. It was my first time pedaling the car, and the mistake I made wasn't like, oops, you lost a round. It was like, oops, you just blew up a motor. And especially, working on the car, I do the clutch on the car, but if we blow up a motor or we have to change motors, I'll go from clutch to motor, and then when that's when they don't need my help anymore, I go back to clutch. So knowing the amount of work that it takes when you make a mistake like that I was just devastated. And like, can I really do this? Is this really I can't hit the shift button when the yellow light comes on? So it just seems so simple, but in the moment, there's just so much going on, and my brain is still getting used to the speed. But I would definitely say Charlotte was my lowest, and then it was really special to come back the next race, the next weekend, and it'd be Indy. So that was really, really cool.
Drag racing is highs and lows, and it
Yes,
is like a
it
roller
is.
coaster for sure. Well, as we look on to the rest of the year, what is the next event?
That is going to be the Kansas City regional event in about I think it's 6 weeks.
Okay, very good. And national event wise, you're still looking for that first national event. It's going to come. I think it's going to come this year for sure. How do you want to win though? What's the track? What's the place? What's the scenario? What's that, Maddie? I've been dreaming all my life before going to bed. Win national event final round scenario. What is it?
Dream scenario. I would say is going to be. Dream scenario would be racing in Brainerd in the right lane where my dad crashed. Yeah, I think that would be it. Racing in Brainerd in the right lane where we were all at our our lowest point. And then to do it there, I think would be a dream come true. It's where I got my license too. And I would say if I got to race Shane Westerfield or Sean Bellemere or Matt Gill, or which you would if you're at a national event, you're gonna race all those guys. Really getting to race anybody at a national event, they're all gonna be stout cars. So but I would say definitely right lane Brainerd would be a dream.
I like it. I like the parallels. Very good. Very good. All right, Maddie. Well, thank you for your time, and keep up the learning curve, and you're learning at a good right pace, and know you're certainly making everyone proud in the family and throughout the drag racing world. So keep it up.
Thank you so much. And yeah, thank you so much for having me on your show. It was very special, very cool.
thank you for coming on. Hopefully see you at the track soon. Take care, Maddie.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Well, there you go, folks. Maddie Gordon picking up her first ever NHRA Top Alcohol Funny Car win in regional trim at Lucas Oil Indianapolis Raceway Park, the Cletus and Cars event. She got that done for the first time in her career. Her career just started this year in 2024 with her just earning her license back in 2023 at the big test after the national event that takes place at Brainerd International Raceway. We're going to take a quick break, and right after the break, we're going to dive into some quick drag racing news and update you on what is going to be coming on to Monday Morning Racer in the rest of the week and what is already visible on the YouTube channel right after this word from Destroyer 1320.
If you own a beautiful modern muscle car like this 1320 Challenger, I'm sure you don't want it stolen. Because the Challenger and many other modern vehicles have an easily accessible neutral release strap. That was your coin holder in your central console, and beneath that there's this red cord that someone can pop, put it into neutral, and potentially easily steal your car. But at Destroyer1320.com, they have the TDS, Theft Deterrent System, which is a cover over that strap using factory mounting points so that you don't get popped by a thief. So make sure to go to Destroyer1320.com using promo code MMR for 15% off and get your Theft Deterrent System, TDS, and steal the thieves' hope.
In drag news today, let me make you aware that you can see the AGAS, Southeast Gassers Association action from Kill Care Raceway. That video is out on the Monday Morning Racer YouTube channel. You can see from round one to the final round, including interviews with the drivers and telling the storylines from that day at Kill Care Raceway. I do want to mention with Kill Care Raceway, they did a tremendous job in getting that race in. I think many tracks of their size would have thrown in the towel, possibly would have had to have thrown in the towel, but they had the equipment, they had the know-how, and they got out there and got that track dry and got the gassers of the Southeast Gassers Association back on track to complete the third event of 2024 for Sega. Speaking of Southeast Gassers Association, tomorrow, Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to have Quayne Stott on. He won in a gas competition, the former owner of the Southeast Gassers Association. He wins his first race after, well, just being a racer in the group, and we're going to chat with him, and he did it in style. It was not a win where he just overpowered the competition. Kind of the old saying is that youth and exuberance or age and treachery or experience. Well, he was certainly treacherous in the executioner and was able to use that experience from all those pro mod days and championships and what he's done going down the drag strip to pull some fast ones on the competition, run well enough, and turn on the win lights to host up the big gold trophy at the end of the day at Kill Care Raceway in Southeast Gassers Association competition. This weekend, there is drag racing happening, and tomorrow's show, and as it looks right now, there may also be a Friday show of Between the Slicks to promote and to discuss Extreme Top Fuel. They're going to be running this weekend at Rocket City Dragway in Huntsville, Alabama, and yours truly, Lee Craft, the Monday Morning Racer, I will be there to cover that as they have an 8-car field of nitromethane burning front engine dragsters that are going to sail themselves off like rockets down the strip at Huntsville, Alabama, Rocket City Dragway. So we're looking forward to possibly having Joey Haas and another individual on to chat about Extreme Top Fuel, their intentions within the sport, and the race upcoming this weekend at Rocket City Dragway. drag racing is happening, I'm sure, elsewhere. Get to the local track, your local track, and support it this weekend if they are having racing. I think the big announcement today that dropped, and I haven't heard much chatter on other channels. And when I mean channels, I don't just mean YouTube channels, but I haven't noticed it on the typical drag racing channels about this announcement. This comes from Speed Society. Dana White. Well, there's been a purchase of Street Outlaws. Dana White, the UFC promoter, owner, mover, and shaker, has acquired No Prep Kings, Street Outlaws, the TV show, and this is possibly one of the more radical shifts in the drag racing world. You've got someone like Dana White that has proven his ability as an entertainer and connector to move an entity forward, such as the UFC. There was a day and time the UFC wasn't popular. There was a day and time the UFC wasn't known. And now we live in a day and time where the UFC can almost name its price in pay-per-view, and you have entire economies based on what the UFC is or is not doing, such as sports bars and having the TV and people coming out and buying beers and food and snacks and having a good old time as two bold boys well on each other. Well, he is now going to be working with, presenting, attempting to move forward No Prep Kings, Street Outlaws. And I think at the top of the list, what someone like a Dana White is capable of doing is connecting this automotive entity and brand with new entities and brands and people. Something that I do think that, for example, NHRA drag racing and other drag racing platforms have the challenge of is how do you crack out of the circular marketing that is within motorsports so often. And what is circular marketing? I'll give you an example. You have an auto parts store sponsoring an automotive entity or mechanism, such as a race car, to people who drive automotives so that they will go purchase their automotive needs at a auto parts store. And though that is certainly a segment that does not need to be overlooked, and certainly we need automotive entities within the automotive mechanism that is an auto sport, we also need consumer brands a part of the brand that is automotive. And ultimately, those consumer brands are bigger than the automotive ones. So I think this is a move which very well could take those people that are associated with Street Outlaws, No Prep Kings, and allow them to skyrocket in popularity, in brand awareness, in partnerships. And we see those within drag racing in this segment become bigger names than they ever could have been. I think that this is good news. It's certainly going to be interesting what happens and what transpires, but it is, I think, good news overall for drag racing, but certainly for this segment. Drag Racing Mayhem says Dana White is now the most famous man in drag racing. I think that would be a true statement for sure. And I'm sure you've already had people with this announcement have to go look up and like, what is drag racing? What is Street Outlaws? And they're already beginning to get a clue about what it is. There are many more things that we could discuss and share. We're going to save that for some of the other shows. Again, remember tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, we're going to go live with Quayne Stott, former owner of the Southeast Gassers Association, the man who founded it and established it. He picks up the win in A-Gas competition there at Keel Care Raceway. You can see the action from Keel Care Raceway, the A-Gas category, on my YouTube channel, Monday Morning Racer. Go watch, hit the like button, and share as well. Drag Racing Mayhem says, talked with Rob and Robert's team at Maple Grove, the entire MPK pits is extremely excited about it, and they should be. And I think overall, for the sport of drag racing, we should be excited about it, because the fact is, if one segment of drag racing grows, that can help all the other segments grow as well, because people will, they'll search what? Drag racing. And that allows there to be more exposure. So I think this is a fabulous move. It certainly is an interesting move. It is certainly one that I think everybody in media, marketing, we need to keep our eye on, and I hope it is a huge success, because it being successful, it's successful for the whole sport, I believe, and I think. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for watching this episode of Between the Slicks. I am going to shut it down. I can hear the rain outside. There have been so many strong storms throughout the central part of the United States. Currently, here I am in Kentucky, not quite central, but you could almost say Midwest, verging into the southeast, and very strong storms rolling through. I'm actually under severe thunderstorm warning as we speak. So I'm going to shut it down and roll on to my destination, and we'll be live tomorrow with Between the Slicks with Quayne Stott. Thank you all for watching. Maddie Gordon, thank you for your time. As you are heading out, hit the like button, hit the share button, and join us tomorrow, 3 p.m. Eastern Time, right here on the Monday Morning Racer platform, or the Competition Plus Facebook page, as well as the Drag Racing Connection Facebook page. I'm Lee Kraft, a.k.a. the Monday Morning Racer, saying God bless, and keep the pedal to the metal.
The drag racing life and the RV life seem to go hand in hand like nitromethane and superchargers. And when you are traveling through the Lone Star State and you're needing work done on your RV, well, DFW RV Center is your star to contact.